What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic, and today we're going to talk some football. Houston Texans football. Today we're going to do a video a lot of y'all been hitting me up about, because y'all know I've been doing videos about certain position groups the Texans might look at and target via the NFL draft, and y'all like, hey, when you going to do an actual mock draft video for the Texans? So this is the video right here. This is going to be the Houston Texans 2020 NFL mock draft. We're going to go 5 rounds deep. We're not going to go into the 7th round of Texans, even though they have 2 2s, 1 3, 1 4, 1 5, and 3 7s. It's kind of hard to decipher who's going to be available in the 6th and the 7th round. And also, some of those guys don't even get drafted. They be undrafted free agents. And then the ones who do get drafted, 9 times out of 10 don't even make it through training camp half the time. So we're going to stick with the first 5 rounds because there's a lot of talent to unpack even early on to the draft. So we're going to talk about those main picks because the Texans go a lot of different ways. They can go a lot of different ways throughout this draft to fill out their roster. So we're going to get into it. Now, the first pick is in the 2nd round. And like I said, the Texans go a lot of different ways. They can go edge rusher, receiver, cornerback, even running back. But we're going to see exactly who they're going to pick because any decision that I make, any selection that I make is going to be in the best interest of the team. Team, capital T, capital E, capital A, capital M. Team. As long as I'm doing videos on this channel, I'm going to be in the best interest of the Houston Texans. So let's get into it. With the 40th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Brandon Aiyuk, wide receiver, Arizona State. This guy right here is an absolute baller. This guy is a playmaker. He has superstar written all over him. He has the potential to be a superstar written all over him. He's a guy who can be your number one. Now, he's not going to be your number one week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, but week 10, week 15, going into the playoffs, and especially next year, especially being with Deshaun Watson, this guy has the capability of being the number 1 receiver on the team. He goes out there, he goes. You throw the ball up in the air, he goes get it. He's a straight go-getter. He makes all type of plays all over the field. He gets his own separation. He makes contested catches. He gets separation. He got a little wiggle with him. Get out of tight spaces. He is a nice, bona fide future all-pro type of receiver. That's what I see when I watch him. He has a star potential written all over him. I know they can go different ways with even like Denzel Mims, even Michael Pittman Jr. And even though I have T. Higgins rated above him, because I think T. Higgins is more polished, I don't think T. Higgins is going to be there at pick 40. So Brandon Aiyuk is the highest rated receiver that I think in this selection. They have to go wide receiver. Don't believe the hype. People like, man, we need edge rusher, we need corner. This is the thing. If the moment that you traded Hopkins, wide receiver became your number one. It became your number 1 need. Because remember, people were talking about getting a wide receiver in the 3rd and the 4th round, even Hopkins on the team. Because what? Will Fuller never stays healthy. Not to mention, last year Kenny Stills had injury concerns. Now you bring in Randall Cobb. He's a guy who hasn't been healthy in the past 3-4 years. He hasn't been healthy consistently in the past 3-4 years. So you got 3 guys battling injuries, and also Fuller and Stills on the last year of their deals. Now with Tunsil deals coming up, and Deshaun's deal coming up, and also Cunningham's deal coming up, you're not going to be able to keep all these guys. So you need to start replacing that wide receiver room immediately. So that's why the moment that you got rid of Hop, who had 3 years left on his deal, mind you, wide receiver became to the top of the list of priorities, and the class is so deep of receiver, you can't, like, when a good one falls to you, you cannot afford to let him pass up, even though you can get receivers later on in the draft as well. But I think when the superstar guy, a guy who should be a first-round type of talent, but I think because the way this receiver pool is, he's going to fall to you right here. You have to go with wide receiver, and you have to go with this kid. I think this guy's the best guy on the board right now. Brandon Aiyuk, wide receiver out of Arizona State. I think, like I said, he has superstar written all over him. He's strong. He's big. He was 6 foot, 205 pounds. A big, strong receiver. Good size hands. Good hands. And just absolute monster. You put the ball in there, he goes and gets it. And I think pair him up with Deshaun Watson, and then also having Will Fuller on the other side. He can benefit from Will Fuller being on the opposite side, and Will Fuller's speed going to go get it over the top. He's going to be able to get everything going to need. I think this is going to be a bona fide pick and this future superstar for the Houston Texans. Now, with the Texans' second pick in the 2nd round, we're going to go with the 57th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. The Houston Texans select Damon Arnette, cornerback, Ohio State. This guy right here is technically sound. This guy has all type of good technique. He is technically sound. He got good hand placement. He's able to do press and jam a receiver at the line of scrimmage with one hand, mind you, because he played this year with his hand in the cast. I don't know if it was broken or if it was just sprained, but he played the majority of the season with his hand in the cast, and he has extremely good hands. Can play inside, can play outside. The thing about him, you kind of wonder, did he benefit from having Okudah on the other side and also having Chase Young in the front? Did he benefit from that? Well, the answer is yes. You're always going to benefit when you have talent around you. You never in a disadvantage when you have good elite talent, top 5, top 2 talent, maybe number 1 in Chase Young talent around you. So when you have that type of talent in front of you and around you, of course you're going to benefit from it. But that does not mean you're supposed to sleep on him. Because, like I said, the way he jams, the way he uses his hands. One of my knocks about Jadeveon Clowney and Roby to a certain extent is they don't use their hands properly. He has better technique than both of these guys who've been in the NFL for, I think Roby's been in the NFL for 6-7 years, and Clowney's been in the NFL for 3 years. He already is going to come in to the Texans with better hands than both of them. Already. And like I said, he's versatile. Can play inside, can play outside, he can play in the slot, he can play outside corner. So he's not all that fast. I think he ran a 4.56 if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what he ran. So he's not all that fast. So when you play against fast receivers, of course you're going to use Roby on the faster receiver. So if the fast receiver is an outside receiver, you move him into the inside. But if the fast receiver is a slot receiver, you move Arnette back to the outside. You can't go wrong. You have to fix this cornerback group because the cornerback is a huge need because you did very little, basically nothing, to fix the DB room via free agency. I mean, the only thing you did was bring back guys like Roby and Hargraves who were on the field when you let up when you had a 24-point lead that you let slip on the Kansas City Chiefs, going 41 straight points en route to going 51 points in the division round. The same guys who were on the field, you just brought them back. You didn't bring in any more talent. So that made cornerback actually the number 1 need until the moment you trade Hop, and that made receiver go above that. So it's 1 and 1A. Like, that's really what it is. It's 1A receiver, 1B cornerback as far as needs. It's that close. And because you didn't fix that position via free agency, you have to get a corner with one of these first 2 picks. You have to get a receiver in the corner with one of these first 2 picks. And I think Damon Arnette is going to be the best guy on the board. I know you can go other ways, but like maybe AJ Terrell out of Clemson. But it is better to go Damon Arnette because I think he's the most technically sound guy that you can get to. Now, the Texans' next pick is going to be in the 3rd round. With the 90th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Jabari Zuniga, defensive lineman, Florida. This guy right here has a lot of potential. A lot of potential. He's a big guy. He's 6'3", 264 pounds. Runs a 4.64. He gets to the quarterback. He puts pressure on the quarterback. He gets to the quarterback. He hits the quarterback. He put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And is also effective in the run game. Something that you need because you go up against the Derrick Henrys twice a year in Tennessee. You go up against the Leonard Fournettes twice a year in Jacksonville. The Marlon Macks twice a year in Indianapolis. So you're going up against good running backs in the division. Then also you got to go against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs if you get there. Same thing with Lamar Jackson with the Ravens. You got to go against top quarterbacks if you want to get to the Super Bowl. And you got to go against a lot of good running backs in the division. So you need a guy who can do both, who can stop the run and who also could show up in the passing game, because you need to put pressure. That's part of the reason why you gave up 51 points against the Kansas City Chiefs. You put no pressure on Patrick Mahomes. So you have to get pressure, a guy who can play outside and inside. He can play outside, you can move him in, he can play interior lineman and get to the quarterback that way as well. The problem with him is that he doesn't always show up on tape. He kind of tails off a little bit. He doesn't always show up on tape. That's a knock on him. And I think this is where both JJ and Anthony Weaver, being the new defensive coordinator, can come in to help. I know we had Clowney, and I know JJ did mentor Clowney. I think that when you brought Clowney in, JJ was still in the peak of his career. Remember, you drafted Clowney in 2014. JJ got a contract that right after you drafted him. You drafted Clowney in April. JJ got a contract extension in June, July, something like that. Then win Defensive Player of the Year that year. Then backdoor win Defensive Player of the Year the following year. So he was still in the peak of his career, getting 2 Defensive Player of the Years after you brought in Jadeveon Clowney. Now that he's at the 2 injury season, with the 2 injury season, he missed a year, and then this past year missed half the season. I think he understands now it's time for me to start being a big brother. It's time for me to start helping some of these younger guys, start mentoring some of these guys, getting some of these younger guys ready to play some legitimate football, and letting these guys, and then put them under my wing and like teaching them the ropes. Because the guy, he has talent, and I think he's a better pass rusher than people give him credit for. So I think he's a guy that you can come in, he can stop the run, he can help plug in against the run, and he can also get to the quarterback as well. Also, Anthony Weaver, former defensive lineman coach, now DC. He's been in the field. He knows what it takes. Another guy I think that under this tutelage can help Jabari reach his full potential. Especially, like I said, like you can't teach this 4'6", able to get it with that size, being 264 pounds. You can't teach that, and like he's a powerful, strong guy. So I think that should be the Texans selection with the 3rd pick. Now, the Texans' next selection is in the 4th round. With the 111th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select La'Mical Pilon, running back, Florida. And I know what y'all saying. I got this guy a little bit higher than a lot of people might have him, but you can't afford to let him go to the 5th round. You might be able to get him in the 5th round, but you need to take him as soon as possible. He's a guy who's a strong, powerful runner, big guy, 5'11", 216 pounds. Doesn't go down off of contact immediately. He bounces off of tackles. He's like a little bulldozer. He bounces off of tackles. He's a strong, powerful runner. Can catch out the backfield. Like I said, he's a more athletic version of Carlos Hyde. So think of what Carlos Hyde brought for the Texans last year. We're more athletic, like a little bit faster, better hands. This is a guy I think that you could pay huge dividends. He played in a bad offensive line in Florida. The Texans offensive line compared to other NFL offensive lines is better than the Florida line compared to other college offensive lines. So he's going to have an upgrade with the offensive line when he gets to the Houston Texans. And I think also being around Deshaun Watson, being around this offense, well, like I said, with Brandon Aiyuk and Will Fuller and Kenny Stills and also Randall Cobb and these tight ends, I think this system, and also having Duke Johnson able to help catch up the backfield as well, could take a lot of pressure off him. The knock on him is that, like, he didn't play a lot in the early on in his career. He got a lot of tread later on, but like he's a senior. He didn't play a lot going to the, and I think that's the reason why he's falling off. He doesn't have a lot of tape, but he last year was his first full year of playing. So, but that's also a good thing. He doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires as well, especially like I said, playing with a bad offensive line. He played with a bad offensive line, but he doesn't have a lot of strength on the side. So I don't really think that's a knock. And the Texans have to go running back. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care what the press conference and what Bill O'Brien said about David Johnson. David Johnson cannot run. When you watch the tape of him last year, he cannot run. He can catch out the backfield, but when you talking about giving the ball to a guy 20 to 25 times a game, he can't do it. And you're paying him $16 million. I think he's owed $11 million or 10.1 million, but he counts $16 million against cap space. He's not, to be honest, he's not worth it, because I think you can only really use him in the receiving game. And that's what's so frustrating about this running back class, because all the running backs all can catch out the backfield. Like every single running back, I did a running back video the other day, every single running back can catch out the backfield. And this running back class is deep. And running backs are going to get pushed further because of the corners and also the receivers and possibly a lot of quarterbacks being taken in the first round. So running backs are going to get pushed. But I do think that mid-third to fourth round, it's going to be a run on running backs. So when pick 111 gets there, you have to take La'Mical Pilon or a running back of that caliber, because you need, and I think this is the best decision right here, is to take La'Mical Pilon. I know I like him a lot, but you got to take a running back right there, because you don't want to risk that you don't end up getting a running back until the 7th round. And to be honest, if I was a general manager, the way I would operate, I would draft a running back and a corner every single year. Because running backs come a dime a dozen, and you can never have too many DBs. If it's just in the 6th and the 5th round, they should be drafting these guys all the time, always bringing somebody new into the rotation. No matter if you have the best secondary in the league and the best ground game league, always bring somebody into the rotation. So I think La'Mical Pilon would be the perfect pick right there at pick 4. Now, with the 5th pick, the Texans' 5th round pick, and with the 171 pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select John Hightower, wide receiver, Boise State. Guy is a home run hitter. He's a big play receiver. Ran a 4.43, and he's just extremely quick. Just extremely quick, make a lot of plays. He's 6'2". The problem with him is a little undersized when it comes to weight. He's only 189, so he needs to get a little bit bigger. And also, his hands, not really an issue, but they can't get away from him sometimes. He can be in a situation where he doesn't catch. He makes all the spectacular catches. The catches you be like, man, how he catch that? But then sometimes, kind of similar to Jacoby Jones a little bit. And that's actually a perfect analogy because Jacoby Jones is the exact same way. He would catch all the one-handed amazing catches. But then the catches that should be easy, like right there in the bread basket, you'd be like, how you drop that? So that's kind of similar to him. So that's something that he does. That's something he does need to benefit from. Too bad we don't have Hop out here to help him with that. But that's a conversation for another day. But a guy who also can contribute on special teams, and I think that's a big plus because we know how Bill O'Brien loves versatility. A guy who can contribute in the punt game and also the return game, and also help out DeAndre Carter because DeAndre Carter is a boom or bust. And even though he hasn't yet to make a huge play as far as like a touchdown, but he has flipped field position a couple times. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was in the top half of the league, top 5 actually, in the league of yards per average per punt return or per kick return. I think per kick return, he was in the top half of the league per average per kick return. He was in the top 5, if I'm not mistaken. But he will make some blunders that'll make you scratch your head, like the game against Buffalo when he gave it back to the referee, and also the game against the Chiefs when he fumbled the football, because he did that last year. He fumbled the football I think like 4 times last year, but he always recovered them. Either he recovered them, they went out of bounds, so it didn't cost you none. A guy like John Hightower, even if he doesn't develop strictly as a receiver, even if he doesn't get his hands as far as catching good routes together, he can definitely help you in the return game. He can definitely be a factor right there. And like I just said, you need to take running backs and corners every year in the draft. This year here, you need to take receivers. You need to take 2 receivers in the draft. The reason why, like I said earlier, you got rid of Hop, and both Stills and Will Fuller, not only their injury history, but they both have 1 year left in their deal. So it's going to be unlikely that you bring both of them back and bring back Tunsil and bring back Cunningham and also sign Deshaun to extension. Like, it's going to be it's really far-fetched to believe all that is going to happen within the next year. So somebody's going to walk out the door, and you got to start replacing that receiver room, and you need to start getting these guys with some chemistry with Deshaun Watson, because you want to make Deshaun Watson happy. You trade away his best weapon. You just start putting people in the fold for him to get comfortable with. Okay, I can stay here, and now you're adding speed. You're adding speed with Hightower. Aiyuk is not a world beat faster. He ran 4.45. So he's faster than Hop. I think Hop ran 4.58 or 4.56. So he's faster than Hop, but his game tape is even faster than, like, he plays extremely fast when it comes on tape when talking about Brandon Aiyuk. And then you bring in the guy in Hightower that runs a 4.43. Like I said, another guy who make good big splash plays when you need him to. Somebody who, even though he doesn't replace Will Fuller with Will Fuller's speed, but he also can replace some of those big play threats. So that's the recap. With the in the second round, the Texans' first pick is Brandon Aiyuk, receiver out of Arizona State. Then with 57, they take Damon Arnette, cornerback out of Ohio State. With pick 90 in the third round, they take Jabari Zuniga, defensive lineman out of Florida. Then with the fourth pick, the fourth round pick, they take LaMichael Pilon, running back out of Florida. And in the fifth round, they take John Hightower, receiver out of Boise State. I think when you do stuff like this, because like Wink said, shout out to Wink and everybody out there in South Sports, you really can't go wrong with this receiver class. Like, this receiver class is extremely deep from top to bottom. When they say this receiving class is deep, that is no lie. Like, this receiving class is deep, and as I did more digging, the running back class is deep, the cornerback class is also deep as well, and they don't get as much pub because the way these receivers are, and everybody was running 4.4s and 4.3s, and like, everybody was running extremely fast. The people who were running 4-5s are the ones who, before the combine, were guys thought of to be late first round picks. They're getting pushed down because some of these other guys ran these extremely fast 40s. Like, this receiving class is going to be deep and it's going to be fast. So you can benefit and get multiple receivers. You have to go multiple receivers in this draft because of the things I said. You got rid of Hop and both Stills and Fuller, even if they stayed healthy. They only have 1 year left on the deal. Not to mention, Fuller hasn't played full head this season yet. Stills missed a couple games last year. And Randall Cobb, who you just signed, gave an enormous contract to, has not been healthy consistently in the past 3 to 4, 5 years. So you have to bring in multiple receivers in this draft. And I think this is also the draft to do it. Tell me what y'all like. Tell me what y'all think about the draft. Like I say, Brandon Aiyuk in the second round with the first pick with pick 40. Damon Arnette. Jabari Zuniga, Michael P. Line, and also John Hightower. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Like, share, subscribe, comment below, click that bell, get more videos. Y'all tell me what y'all think. If y'all want to do another my draft, holla at me.